Greetings, Reelers. My name is Philip, and together with my wife Sherry and two of our friends, Chris and James, we're Fellowship of the Reel. 4 people who love talking about movies almost as much as we do watching them. We hope you will join us as we dig deep into cinematic masterpieces and some that are, well, maybe not. You have an opportunity to be the 5th host of our little show. Click the link in the show notes and leave us a voice message telling us what movie you would like us to review. You can also reach out on our Facebook page, Fellowship of the Reel. From all of us at Fellowship of the Reel, thanks for listening. Okay, on with the show.
Are you recording this?
Studying a movie in the mechanical level, I think, can really bring some revelation.
I believe that no one sets out to make a bad movie, with the exception of...
On paper, this should work.
Yeah, this should work.
But I just don't like it.
That's your own fault if you haven't seen it.
Way over budget,
chases,
start
yeah,
cutting
right, yeah,
scenes. Even the actors don't know what that movie is about. Shit, I wish I wrote that.
Which I love the title, but that movie's trash.
Well, it's oatmeal, man. It's good for you. All right, Fellowship of the Reel, 4 friends in a movie. This was Chris's pick, Stephen King's The Mist. We will be discussing, and I think we all have some feelings about maybe how this movie ends.
It ends a bit differently than the book.
Yep.
For sure. As preparation for this and for a future episode, I'm listening to both the books. The Mist book, I listened to, and now I'm reading The Shining for later. Book is completely different, most all the way around. But
did King say that he was impressed with how they ended the movie?
I think he's okay with it. Yeah, I think he. I thought the quote I read was, "I wish I'd thought of that." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, in the book, there's even a line talking about that, of how the movie ends. In the book, it's considered.
Yeah.
Like, if it goes wrong, I can always do this.
yeah.
Okay.
It has more of an ambiguous,
Gotcha, yeah.
but hopeful ending.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah.
For this one, I feel like we should say there, give a spoiler alert because, which we always talk about everything in the movie, but this one definitely, if you don't want to know what's going to happen and you haven't seen it, watch the movie.
Yeah, shut this off and go watch it and then come.
Because there's a lot that has to be discussed.
Yeah.
Yep. No. Good spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I still feel, and it's at the beginning of our thing, the audio clip you pulled from Sherry, but I guess because we're always reviewing, old movies, I still think your clip is the best. Like, that's your fault if you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Makes
right.
me laugh every time I hear it.
Yeah, no, by now.
Well, definitely on this one,
This
though.
is
I wanted to
2007, so
Yeah, 2007.
what have you been doing?
Right.
I wanted to
Right.
mention that, though,
Yeah, for sure. No, that's
seriously.
good. We should be mindful of that on this movie and any other movies.
because
as
I'm going to
last year.
talk about the end of it.
Yeah, we got to. I think.
Now, having seen it the first time a while back and hating it, and then watching it this time with a more critical eye, I do still hate it, but I have more respect for the choices that were made. And
No, I just want to say also thank you to Chris.
Oh,
You made me break a promise that I made to myself that I would never, ever watch this movie again.
Yeah.
And I watched it again.
so my payback is coming, is what you're saying?
Oh, let's see.
This was one of those ones. I saw it when it first came out, and I watched it 5 or 6 times preparing for this one. My feelings on it have not changed.
yeah.
I'll just go ahead and say it, not my favorite Frank Darabont Stephen King collaboration. There's 2 other ones, which are The Green Mile and
Shawshank.
Redemption,
No,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. Those
which are 2 far superior movies
Yeah.
to this one on acting,
Oh, yeah.
story, most everything. But to be fair, those other 2 weren't Stephen King horror stories. This one is.
Yeah.
So, and his horror stories, his Stephen King's endings, he normally doesn't stick the landing on all of them.
No, right.
In the book, it ends ambiguously, and the movie does not.
Right.
But that's the least part that bothers me, quite honestly.
Interesting.
Well, we're going to get into it. Chris, before we forget, wanted to do a shout out.
Yep. Yeah, so I just want to give a shout out to Brad Paris. He's listened to every single one of these podcasts so far, and so just keep it up, man. I appreciate all the support. If we get more people that will listen to every single one, then we can quit our day job. So appreciate it.
Right.
I love my job. I don't know about you guys.
Okay.
Not that I don't like my job, but if I could, stay home and draw a check some other way, by doing this, and then they give me more time to write, that would be great.
Yeah.
Start selling feet pics, man. On OnlyFans, just take pictures of your feet.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's true. That's true. I've told the wife that, look, we can make some extra money.
Right.
She's like, I'm not doing that. No, I'm talking about your feet, or your finger, or
totally
something
anonymous.
silly.
Totally
Yes.
I can't say that I haven't thought about it.
Yeah, listen.
I've got hobbit feet.
Right.
There's a section of the internet for that.
You're right.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Everybody loves something.
It's true.
Anyway, did you have the Money Critics fan stuff, Chris? Or no?
Yeah, I've got the money stuff, and then I guess I don't have the critic stuff. I apologize.
No, that's cool.
So the budget was $15 million.
Okay.
So fairly modest budget, and then it made $57 million worldwide.
Yeah, that's what I
And
had.
it came out November 21st, 2007.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know. You guys see this in the theater, or did you see it
I did not.
later on?
Later
when you heard
on.
about it. I saw it in the theater for
I
sure.
saw it in the theater.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure at the time I was aware that it was Frank Darabont. Like I was a big fan of him like already, I think. And because of like we talked about the Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile. I will agree with you, James, that those movies are better, but they're different to me. Those even like take Frank Darabont out, remove him and just Stephen King stories, rate them as just Stephen King stories.
Mm-hmm.
Those stories are better. But they're different. This is more of a, I think it's a testament to Stephen King and how good he is with characters and people. Like he can, he can tell a story with creatures and he can tell one without creatures and still, give you a compelling story.
Yeah, Stephen King builds the best worlds.
Yeah, like I didn't start
and
reading him.
books.
Like I knew who he was, but I didn't start reading him until like 2003. Like I know he was the horror guy, but horror was never really my thing. And then I remember one day I was entertaining an idea about a horror western, of my own, and I saw the Dark Tower series, so I started reading that.
Oh,
And was hooked. So I read Dark Tower first, and then I started just devouring everything of his after that. And
Yeah,
and I still haven't. I've got stuff on my shelf that I haven't read because he's written so much.
yeah. He's
But he's
written a
great.
bunch.
He's my favorite.
Just-
he screwed the pooch on the Dark Tower.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
ask
sure.
how far did you get in the Dark
I've read
Tower?
all of them. Phil and I have talked about this a little bit. I'm okay with the ending. He does not like the ending.
It's terrible.
I made it to I forget, it was the one that was like the Wizard of Oz, where they were on the train going
Oh, okay. That's like the third one.
third, fourth book. I made it to
the third
there,
one.
and I
You
just
bailed,
I
huh?
checked out.
All right.
But
the
the
third
first
one's not my favorite.
the
It's one of
first
those-
book was amazing.
I really liked the
book was
second one,
amazing.
and the third one with the train was okay, and then the Wizard and Glass, which is a lot of his backstory.
Yeah,
was
it's the
really
Magnificent
good.
Seven. There's
That
one.
was Wolves with Kala was
Kala,
Magnificent
yeah.
Seven. Yeah,
Well, Stephen King, I always liked when he did the miniseries on TV
yep. Like those.
because it's made for TV, so it's not too bad for me.
Oh, yeah.
But you look forward to the next night when they show the next episode, and of course, my favorite is The Stand.
Yeah, the original.
Yeah,
Stand.
The original Stand.
It and one of my favorites that I haven't found it as readily as those is the Langoliers.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
That made for TV
really
one was terrible.
The
and-
stories are really good.
Yeah, it was a fun movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As far as the critics and fans, both fairly kind critics, 72% tomato meter, and fans 65%, which is not terrible. I think the ending had a lot to do with maybe somehow there's lower scores or whatever. Anyway, so into the structure, the breakdown. The opening image is what I have is, and when you're dealing with Stephen King, he draws upon a lot of times the whole Stephen King world, right?
Yep.
The opening image is, I guess this guy is a painter. David is a painter, or maybe of book covers, I guess, or
I think it's supposed to be movies.
Movie
I think
posters,
it's supposed
yeah.
to be like Drew Struzan, who is the real guy that does movie posters.
okay,
Right.
And those are his posters in the studio, but I think he's supposed to kind of have the same job.
okay, because one of them is from the Dark Tower. It's the cover of the Dark.
Yeah,
It's the
The main
gunslinger.
one
It's
he's
a
working
tribute
on.
to
Yeah,
the King, I think.
But there's also The Thing.
Yep.
yeah. I
On the
thought that
wall.
was the thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's a thing in there, and I don't remember what else. But those are all Drew Struzan actual posters. Like he did those. This guy did Indiana Jones. He did, like in real life, he did Indiana Jones. Right. He did
Star Wars.
He did like a bunch, like really big in the 80s. They've kind of gotten away from those style posters now. Yeah. And he kind of did one for The Mist that was never used.
Well, he mentioned that in the movie after the storm comes of, they can just whip this up in Photoshop in an afternoon. And that was nice. A dig at that exact thing.
Yeah.
I actually have one, met him at Comic-Con, and I have a Temple of Doom poster that he signed.
Really?
And it's in the media room.
That's very
really cool. Because, they just do all digital shit now instead of, this guy actually by hand and all that.
Yeah.
Some artists capture the likeness really well and some don't, and I've always felt like his posters captured, the actors really well.
Yes.
Anyhow.
There is, I think, a theme stated I have, and I didn't pick up on it right away, but as I was watching this, I think it centers around this idea. At some point, David says, after the storm, and their house has been damaged and their neighbor's house has been damaged, David will say, all that matters is that we're safe. And I think this is the dramatic question, or sort of the theme of the matter of the movie. All that matters is we're safe, because that is going to come into play much later, and I think leads to and builds the foundation for this ending.
Mm-hmm.
I have translated, all that matters is what is good for me and mine. Because later there's the scene in the shopping center, in the grocery store, where the woman wants somebody to help her go to her kids. I left them with my daughter. She's only 8. Won't somebody help me? A woman,
because she wanted to step out and grab groceries very quickly and get back, and had no idea that the mist would come and trap them in the store.
Won't somebody help a woman get back to her kids?
Yeah, I think she doesn't use the word decency too. Doesn't someone have the decency?
Yes.
Do any of you have the decency to see a lady home or whatever?
Yes. And David, Thomas Jane, or whatever, right?
Yep.
Will say, I've got my own kids to worry about. And I think this is what's happening here. This idea of decency, bravery, or only
helping others over yourself.
Right. Yeah. Only being concerned about yourself.
Yeah. He even looks away from her, picks up his kid and turns away from her. I got my own kids to worry about, lady, and then turns away.
Now, he seems a little conflicted about it, but not enough to change. Now, Stephen King, I don't know what his background is, but he is very fond of the Old Testament wrath god. Okay, so I don't know that we ever, because in other movies there is this idea, right, of like a whole town being punished, the storm of the century, right, or whatever, where they all march into the sea. I don't know that we're ever told, but I suspect that the people of this town do have dark secrets that are now being visited upon them in some kind of judgment. And I think that will, as we go through, I think we can talk about some of that. But I think that is what's at play here in Stephen King's telling of this story.
Yeah, there was a so they don't, I don't know if they exactly reveal it, but they talk about the experiments the Arrowhead Project the military was doing, and they opened some sort of portal or whatever, and that's where these things came from. There's a prologue that Darabont wrote showing, I guess, them doing that. The Arrowhead. He never filmed it, but I think it's better, I guess, without it. I like the way it is, but I thought that was interesting that he had actually took the time to write it, because that's not in the book, if I remember right. So anyhow.
Moving through the setup, a book cover artist, we're safe, that's all that matters. A mist rolling in, getting supplies when the power goes out, the Arrowhead Project that you were talking about, soldiers rolling out in a hurry. There are theories cast about aliens, crash ship from
because the town doesn't know what they do up there at the Arrowhead Project. Right. Yeah, they all have theories about it or whatever. He goes to town. He goes to he has a beef with his neighbor, right? There's some history there. They sued him once over over the tree or something, if I remember right.
Right.
So they end up going to the store together.
Yes.
David, his son, Billy, and then Norton, I think, is the neighbor.
Yes. David is early on very concerned about the safety of his child, Billy. You make sure you hold his hand, this kind of thing.
Yep.
All that matters is we're safe. Now, the Stephen King world, this is they're reading the Castle Rock Times newspaper. So, again, you're going to draw upon, especially like in something like the Gunslinger, where basically you drew in Salem's Lot, all this stuff from Stephen King's world into the story. You're getting some of that here.
Yeah, they did a cool thing on that on each Dark Tower book. Like when you go to other books written by Stephen King, they're bolded, the ones that are connected to that,
Oh, is that right?
world. So that's kind of
Okay,
cool.
That's cool. So this is the setup, and they eventually wind up at the grocery store.
Yeah, they leave the husband and son go to the store, and the mom is left back to do some gardening.
Yeah,
as
she
the
stays on.
mist was coming across the lake.
Yes, where you're given this foreboding.
Yeah, they even like have a brief discussion about what it is. Like he's the dad's the one that's, what is that?
Yeah,
I don't know, mist. I mean, they don't even
Yeah,
know
I'm
what
not
it
a
is.
weatherman. I don't
Right,
know.
Yeah, I'm not a weatherman. Yeah, that's right. He says that. Yeah, anyhow, Thomas Jane's voice is very unique to me. I don't know why I get a kick at it, just the way he talks. I don't know, it's interesting.
The catalyst. There's a town alarm. Early alert goes off. A bloody man, Dan, shows
Yeah,
up.
I think Dan. Yeah,
Something in the mist. Something in the mist.
yeah, he's all bloody. He's yelling, screaming, running. From
John
the mist.
Lee or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, something in the mist took John Lee.
Something in the mist took John Lee. Yes. The mist is thick now. The man flees and pays with his life. So now they are on high alert. They lock the doors. And again, Stephen King, you get this crazy prophet lady declares it's
The revelation, like end times. or whatever, right?
yes, that she is going to be the
Miss Carmody.
Miss Carmody.
Mrs. Carmody, yeah.
the harbinger of what is happening.
And it's what Marcy Gay Harden is the actress, right?
Marcia Gay Harden.
Yeah, she nails it. I mean, she
Oh, yeah,
does a
no,
really good job. Like,
And I think initially you're meant to think that she is crazy, and she is crazy. I think she has a swing from crazy to, something else, and then back to crazy. But
It's a cult leader crazy.
expiation.
yeah, no, right, exactly, right. We'll get into this.
Well, can I just mention, a lot of times when they showed her, all I could think of is what we've been going through with COVID,
No, yeah.
and just the different, people like her
Oh, sure.
yeah.
coming out.
Okay. Like conspiracy theorists and stuff. That kind
Yeah.
of thing, you
People
mean?
that are
Oh,
not
yeah.
quiet.
All right.
Yeah. So, well, a lot of, it reminded me a lot of what we've been going through.
Yeah.
Sure. I guess that's the catalyst. The debate: go out or stay. Right. So the lady must get home to her kids. Will somebody help me? There are no takers. I have refresh my memory. When she leaves, she curses them.
Yeah, I don't. What is the exact line? I don't remember if it's all just me, all rotten hell,
Yeah,
or
something like that.
something along
Yeah,
those lines. Yeah.
So
Nobody helps her. I think it's important. It's not just the main guy. Nobody helps her.
right. And so I guess we didn't talk about the genre, but obviously, I think this safely is a monster in the house.
Oh, I had Buddy Love, but no, I'm blanking. It's Monster in the House.
Golden Fleece?
Yeah, monster in the house, which
exactly.
means that there's a monster, a sin in a location. And so I don't know that we're ever explicitly told there's sin, but I think this is it. Only thing that matters is that we're safe. I got my own kids to worry about.
I got my own kids. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Will nobody help a lady?
Helping others. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Yep. And I've seen that movie a lot, and I didn't notice that this time didn't notice it till this time. So then when you said before when we talked about it, you felt like you'd caught the theme. I was curious to see if it was the same. Because I don't know, even though with the ending and all that, it's still, I guess, just watching stuff more with a critical eye. Like that scene held more weight when she asks and walks out. It held more weight than it did previously. Because I'm sure I was on board with him before. Like, well, I got my own kids to worry about, lady. Like I was probably even didn't think of it as being kind of shitty on his part. You know?
Now,
I mean, you don't want to go out there. Something took John Lee. You know what I mean? You don't want to go out there.
now on some level it's justifiable, but
Yeah.
I think that is chiefly what's happening
Well,
here.
not just took John Lee. Didn't it take somebody else too? Like they ran out to go to their car, and then you hear him.
Yes, you are correct. Yeah,
So-
right. Because people immediately get in the car. I'm going to get home because the sirens and shit are going off, and and you just hear. You don't see it at this point, but you're right. You just hear the horrible screams.
So everybody in the
Something is
store,
going on.
everybody in the store has witnessed what happened.
Right, but not when the woman leaves to go get her kids. There is none of that. She just disappears into the mist.
You don't know what happened to her.
Yeah, correct.
This happens a couple times now.
Yeah, because they even talk about some kind of poison cloud from the mountain. You know what I mean? Like they have no idea what it is.
chemical explosion.
Chemical, that's
something.
it. That's the line.
Yes, but this lady is leaving. She is not going to let anything stop her from getting to her kids, risking her own life, and it's ambiguous at first what happened because nothing. We don't hear her.
We
screams.
don't know. Yeah, we never see
In
her
the
again
book,
for a
in the
bit,
book,
yeah.
it's ambiguous. It's left ambiguous in the book. Part of that scene here, I think it may have been a performance by Melissa McBride. She's the lady. that came off so cheesy to me, the way that she was doing. Won't somebody helping the lady home to her kids and little Johnny's at home? That was just so cheesy to me. And then I listened to the book, and it's word for word exactly what Stephen King wrote.
I think it's trying to paint what's going on here.
Yeah.
And I think at some point she asked, and then is appealing to, their nature. Look, I'm not just asking for help. Won't
I got my kids? They're young.
So I think she's trying to really swing them by saying, if you don't help me, you're cowards, kind of thing.
Yeah. You still think it's cheesy, James?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. And again, I don't know if it's her performance or whatever.
Her performance.
But I've seen her in other stuff, and she's
she was
fantastic.
She's in The Walking Dead, and Darabont does The Walking Dead.
He did.
A lot of these people.
Yeah.
Dan was from The Walking Dead as well.
Yep.
This is where you found a lot of those people.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
The,
he even wanted
He
Thomas
doesn't do it
Jane.
anymore. I think actually last year. He was a big fallout between him and the Walking Dead AMC producers.
Yeah.
I think he finally got awarded $200 million for his.
Yeah. Well, his company, KDB or whatever, they do the special effects for The Walking Dead. He's the D, and we watched
A special on it?
Yeah, well, there's a YouTube guy who went to KDB or whatever it is, special effects, and Darabont is in there, and
I was trying to figure out how he ended up with so much them owing him so much money. But if he does the effects,
and his company did the special effects for this.
Well, bring it back a little bit to The Walking Dead. Thomas Jane from this was high in consideration for Rick Grimes.
Nice.
That'd been good.
Yeah. So that fell apart. However, that happened, but yeah, this movie was before The Walking Dead, but it was setting up all the pieces to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, she's a great actress. I just don't know why it rubs me the wrong way, that little scene.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it's not the only part in the movie that rubs me the wrong way. We'll get to it.
All right. Yeah. So she leaves, and then
I have Dan's neighbor voting for staying, and encouraging others to do, or for leaving, maybe encouraging others to do so, discussing the nature of the mist, and then this crazy prophet lady talks of sin and dissolution, because she starts saying this is for your sin and dissolution to all the people in the store, which started me thinking, well, if this is a king's world, there's some dark shit in this neighbor.
You don't think it's just sin in general? You think there's some dark stuff in this town?
Yes, I think this town is. Yeah, we'll get into that as we go, but I think she's initially portrayed as a wacko, but this town has made a deal or has got deep skeletons that is now being visited upon them, and this is how King does things. This is, his Old Testament God kind of stuff.
And this is younger King too. He wrote it. The story came out in 1980, if I remember right. The Mist. So it is younger King versus older King.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is in one of his novellas.
Yeah.
I forget which one specifically, but
I think it's in Skeleton Crew, if I remember right.
Oh
Yeah. Anyhow.
They're still debating the nature of the things that in the generator room. This is no ordinary mist. This kid is taken, the one that there's a group that wants to do the thing with the generator, but you have to go on the roof, and he's all gung-ho until he gets...
Yeah, because the backup generator has stopped.
Yeah.
And they want to be able to get it back on for the power and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
so they're debating Thomas Jane.
yeah.
Is...
Again, that's another one that bugs me of... They just watched a man run in saying that the mist took somebody.
Yeah.
They just watched somebody run out and get taken.
Yeah.
Now they want to open the door and get on the roof.
It's
what?
It bugs you, but I like it because I think that's how people would react.
It's the mask, no mask thing.
People are going to respond differently. Oh, there's nothing to worry about. Yeah. I'm not wearing my fucking mask, to your point. Or just denial. Like that's, people, when they face something they can't process, they deny it. And then even the guy turns it. William Sadler's the actor. No, Mr. Drayton, you're big fancy, and I don't like you talking down to me. Like he even turns it to this other thing that it's not.
Right. Well, and then when Ollie says the thing is, this is a problem they can solve.
Yep. Yeah.
Let them solve it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But again, it's.
I'm with you. Like I'm not going to be one to open the damn thing. I'm like, hey, I just saw these Johnny Lee and all these other people disappear. I'm on board. There's something fucking out there.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if it's Thomas.
Argue facts, but
whether it's Thomas Jane's character. Somebody, I didn't write down who said it, but somebody says we're in deep shit here. I guess at some point there's this we're in deep shit. This summation or whatever.
Is that after the kid's taken? Because they open the door.
Yeah,
It
the
seemed
kid
like
is
there's
taken, no
nothing.
doubt now. What's
Then-
next? Kill the generator. We're in deep shit here. It's around this whole generator.
Yeah, so the kid, they think there's nothing, then the kid gets taken, but all they see is tentacles.
You're right.
Like, that's one of my favorite lines is, what the hell are those tentacles even attached to? Like,
Right.
you know, it's... Lath watched this one with me as well. He was knocking the CGI a little bit. I'm like, hey, it was 2007,
Yeah.
it was lower budget,
Oh, yeah.
whatever. This is still pretty creepy.
No, it was. I thought it was still pretty good.
Can I mention something about the monsters too?
Yeah.
Because watching it a second time, I actually enjoyed everything up to the ending.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I forgot. I couldn't, I see that monster, and then the next time they have a different something that comes in, and then there's a third. I was like, I didn't remember it being
So many different creatures.
so
yeah.
many different
Yeah.
creatures, but then they talked about opening a portal or something. I said, oh, I guess is that what it was?
All the
That-
creatures from that world coming over.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that kind of threw me off, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lath wanted to know, he's like, it was a shame they didn't have like 11 up there from Stranger
Right.
Things
Yeah.
up there at the, at the, where,
Yeah, the Upside
Arrowhead
Down.
Project to help out,
Yes.
So,
The entire front of the store is plate glass. Someone says, and then there's lots of issues between people, anger, debates.
well, they had this big discussion about do we tell
Right.
the rest of the people trapped in this market about what happened back there with that kid? Because that kid's gone. He gets killed.
Right.
And they have like a section of a tentacle they cut off. And so he tries to convince his neighbor who already, they're at odds.
Yeah. And
One
he
thing that caught me is like he thinks they're playing a joke. Again, these people denying their facts and shit they're saying,
Right.
and they all of a sudden turn it personal. You're talking down to me, or I'm the outsider on the town. You're trying to play a joke on
Oh,
me.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what his neighbor says, and just those aspects of people and personalities. Like that's to me one of the things I really like about the stories. Because I think that's
Oh, yeah.
I think it's what fucking people would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, again, to your point, look at how the world responded to COVID and mask and no mask.
Yeah.
One thing that bugged me about it, and I again didn't think about it till this time, when he's trying to convince the neighbor, well, just come back there and look with me, man. And no, fucking, I think they even like put his hands on each other and get your fucking hands
Yeah,
off
right,
all that
yeah.
bullshit. His shirt was covered in blood. He changes shirts, right?
Yes.
David does.
Yes.
Why didn't go grab that damn bloody shirt and show him? Look at this.
Yeah.
Like, instead of trying to get him to physically go back to a place,
Right.
he just sat on the shelf somewhere. Like again, seen it 1,000 times, never thought about it till
Yeah.
this time. I'm like, why didn't you grab your shirt, man? I don't know that
Well,
little thing to help convince. Like, where do you think this fucking blood come from? That would have helped the argument.
yeah, I think at that point he may have thought,
it doesn't matter. Yeah,
doesn't
Well,
matter.
they did it in the movie, but not as much in the book, as after the kid's taken out of the door and they close the door and they come back. That whole group of guys goes directly to the beer cooler and starts drinking.
Yeah.
So when they're like, okay, who are we going to tell? Who are we going to tell? They're getting more and more sauced up. So
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
adds a little depth to it. You and your drunk buddies are over here trying to make
Yeah.
fun of me, pulling
sure.
me back here.
No, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
So yeah, it didn't show it that much in the movie, but
Right.
I
But that's
think
important
what
though. I
they
mean, you're gonna want a beer after that shit.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Well, and so I thought this was a cool moment, a funny moment when they come out from the back door. The way the guy describes their problem, he's trying to be tentative. It appears we may have a problem of some magnitude here.
Talking about
About the tentacle and the guy being
was that
killed.
Ollie that said it, or somebody
I
else?
think it was like one of the store managers. I think he was one of the employees.
oh,
Yeah.
the other guys. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
It appears we may have a problem of some magnitude here. Yeah. Contrasted with somebody else earlier saying we're in deep
Deep
shit.
shit. Yeah.
Oh, I think his name is Bud Brown, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's not Ollie. It's the other manager or whatever. Cause
Yeah.
Because you can tell he and Ollie have like a history. Like he
Right.
scoffs when Ollie says, "Yeah, I can shoot."
Right.
Really? You?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is where I have the break into two. Through the door of the warehouse, so that they've had their experience in there, and they come out, a problem of some magnitude through the doors at around 39 minutes. I have it as the break into two. Now, something is definitely going on, and now we have to react to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then we had the fun and games of being trapped in the store and all that stuff.
Yeah. Fun and games. Prophetess. Let me help. They can't be all bad. She seems crazy, but maybe she knows something we don't know about this town. She preaches her sermon. That's when I started thinking, okay, this is Stephen King's story. She seems crazy, but based on some of his stories and how he casts things,
Right.
maybe this town isn't Snow White like we think they are.
Do you think you were also looking for, because it's a monster in the house and trying to identify the sin? Like why you would maybe go down that track too.
Yeah,
right?
maybe so.
I mean,
Yeah.
if
She
that's
said,
the rules, right? You got to have a sin, you got to have a monster, and then a location. Monster and location are easy. What's the
yeah,
sin?
she says things like, a stern and vengeful God who calls for blood, the bill is due,
Yeah.
she says. So I think she's getting some indication that, yeah, this town has run up a deficit and now it's time to pay, kind of thing,
Right.
which we are not necessarily
On board with, but
told about or whatever, except for this idea, well, I got my own stuff to worry about, The retrieval of the shotgun, 300 foot of rope. The lawyer and his followers strike out. All right, so the lawyer, the neighbor, wants to leave, and he takes a bunch with him, and they leave. And we don't... Now, at the end of the movie, I tried to think back. We don't ever find out what happens to these. They just disappear. We don't know if they
made it or not.
They certainly weren't killed like we saw others as they walked out the door.
No,
and they're not in that...
they're not in the truck. Yeah,
not in the truck at the end,
But the big tall guy who puts the rope around his waist, he goes with them, right? That's not separate. He goes with them. Put the rope on because he tries to get his neighbor to put the rope on.
He's going out there to get the shotgun, right? And they put a rope around him, and they pull the rope back. And
but he tries to get his neighbor first. And you look, I'm not trying to argue with you or whatever. You want to go out, just put this rope on, see how far you get. And the neighbor says no.
Yeah.
So they get the other guy to do it.
Yes.
But he goes out, I guess, not necessarily with them, but at the same time, right?
I can't remember.
I guess to me, like, I swear they're at the same time. I may be wrong.
Yeah, that probably is.
But he doesn't make it, the guy with the rope.
Right.
So I guess I always figured the rest of them didn't either. But it's very ambiguous. You don't hear screams. You don't see blood.
Sure. And it comes back again to the lady that left. It's ambiguous. That's resolved, but
kind of set up. Well, we see these other people dying. If you go out there, you go out there, you're gonna die. I mean, up to this point, that's what.
Yes, but he doesn't, and we never. So I don't like. There's never an answer.
If you made
we get an answer for the lady with her
I think
children.
he died because fuck that guy. But
you're right.
Well, yeah, but if he didn't die, and we don't get any indication that he did, that means he is not part of the
sin. Yeah, because he was an
sin.
outsider. So to your point, if the town is being punished for a sin, maybe he's not part of it if he's an outsider. But he's a dick. He needs to be punished for something, man. I like to imagine a horrible death for this guy.
He's a lawyer to boot, so
the blood-sucking lawyer.
right. Because I have
we
one
never
of the
know.
lawyer in his lot, and I don't think we ever find out.
Yeah. The rope thing was cool. It's one of a lot of the cool fun and games Sherry's face.
Yeah.
No, it's gruesome and it's gross, but it's like as far as storytelling aspects,
Well, okay.
really cool. Like you're waiting for this is not going to go well,
Right.
That's going to happen.
That's when they're pulling it back, the rope back, and it starts to get nasty.
Blood,
I would have dropped the rope.
I thought about that too. He just keeps doing it.
And
Yeah,
didn't
just
it
keeps
go
going.
up?
Yeah, it goes.
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I think
When
you're
it
right.
does that, I'm like,
Lay
I'm
thought that
done.
part was really cool. It's like, oh man, no, something really got him. Because you
Yeah.
see the rope go up and
All right, so
just half of his body.
staying vigilant, keeping watch, some kind of large insect thing on the glass becomes a swarm. Now that did freak my shit out when they bap,
Because they try to fortify the glass a little bit with dog food and all this stuff prior to the neighbor and them going out. Like because they realized very early on that
the whole wall is plate glass.
And that's what I was talking about. I'm expecting something, and I've seen it already once, but I was expecting, okay, that's the monster. It's an octopus looking thing. But no, here comes these other things.
Well, like they do that even better because here's this little bug thing to get you, jump scare. And you're thinking, well, okay, those things aren't great looking, and then a pterodactyl type thing comes in and is eating the bugs.
Right.
We got a big problem here. We're in deep shit here. But
Yes, a problem of some magnitude. Right. I love that line.
Right.
Miss Carmody sees this as a fulfillment. A larger creature feeds on
she's talking
them.
about logos and shit, right?
Attracted to the lights, kill the lights. Yeah. She's seeing this as a fulfillment. Sally is stung. A larger creature gets in, eats a man.
They had all these grand plans too of if something got through the glass because they had mops that were going to put on
they do this,
set up the lights and none of that worked
right, and then they try to fight him with like the fire, and
the one guy gets burned horribly.
Sure, but you don't fight things with fire in a place you can't get out of. Like this is why you don't try to kill zombies with fire because then you just have walking zombies that are on fire.
Walking Molotov cocktails.
Right.
Well, they said they did that in Game of Thrones. They're like, why don't we do this? He goes, you have hundreds of people scared shitless trying to handle fire.
Yeah, this goes hardly
problem.
This becomes chaos ensues. Whatever. They nearly burn themselves right to the ground. But unfortunately,
these lights, there's the big doc about the lights. You want these lights on, Mr. Drayton, or you want them off? And they can't seem to decide. Then the bugs are attracted to the fucking lights. It's
right?
just,
Yes.
yeah. Comedy of errors in a horror movie. You know?
Now, this is when the sort of arc of Miss Carmody starts to turn, because this stinger bug gets in and it lands on her.
Yep.
And she prays, and I think she actually says it word for word, "My life for you." My life for you. Now, where have we heard that? Trash Can Man from The Stand.
Oh, nice.
My life for you.
Nice.
You know,
Nice.
my life for you, your will be done, and the bug does not bite her.
Yep.
Okay. At this point, so at that point in the story, she's vindicated. The bug is, because the bug just had stung Sally and killed her. Okay. And the bug lands on her, on her, and she prays, and the bug flies away right after her.
Yeah, that's why, ants bite some people and they don't bite others, right? They like the sweet. Sally was sweet. This
Okay.
old bitch is.
Sure. No, but
No, I'm with you. Like, obviously, that's a big scene in a
Yes,
point.
at
It
this-
means something. Yeah, the bug didn't bite her.
Yes.
We're all hoping, bite that bitch, and then it doesn't.
and it doesn't. And so,
And you start thinking, oh, maybe she's on to
yeah, this town has got a darkness, and
Sure.
yeah. At which point I have us to the midpoint, and I'm calling it a false victory.
Because before the pharmacy, all of this, like the chaos ensues and then breaking through the glass, and that's your midpoint.
Is the pharmacy after this, or
Yeah, the pharmacy, because they go to the pharmacy to get
to help
medicine for the guy that.
yeah?
caught on fire.
I guess I have my midpoint false victory before the pharmacy.
Okay. I was torn. I went back and forth. Part of me said it was after the
Yeah.
pharmacy, because that's the first time the main characters venture out, and,
Yeah.
the mission's like a failure. They end up coming back more messed up than
Sure.
they were.
Oh yeah.
And he even like comes back and just falls asleep. Like, I feel like there's a big transition there. Like, when he wakes up, it's bad guys close in because she's gotten more followers and stuff. And I mean, I went back and forth. My instinct was where you're at, and then I changed it just to.
Well, I call it a false victory because they actually drive the creatures from the store.
They do.
They
Yeah.
almost burn it down, but they do get them out.
Oh yeah. See. Okay. I see. I had it as a false defeat, because they had it fortified and it didn't go as planned, and the
Yeah.
guy got burned. But yeah. But they do. You're right. They do drive them out.
They drive out the creatures from the store,
False
and then I
victory,
have the bad guys close in as the burn victim. Joe is in such pain he wants to die. He basically is begging for suicide.
Yeah.
The old woman Hattie, I guess, ODs,
Yeah.
and Carmody is gathering her flock, and a sacrifice will probably be demanded.
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess I have it. We can talk about it when we get there. But I have it as a false victory when they get out of the store down the road.
Yeah.
Something that's interesting to me, and I think it just kind of speaks to the times, I guess. I'm really, it's probably obvious, really enjoying watching movies with my son that he hasn't seen.
Yeah.
When the two brothers are the ones like the guy's on fire and he's like, "Oh, kill me," and all stuff, and then the one guy's crying. I don't guess either Lath missed it or it wasn't obvious that they were brothers, so he thought they were gay.
Oh,
Like, just their relationship.
yeah.
or whatever.
I didn't think they were. I didn't even sense
And
that they were
just
brothers.
At the time, it's just that it's more acceptable than it. Every year it becomes more acceptable, right? Homosexuality.
Yeah, yeah.
and-
That
and
he
different
would have
stuff,
jumped to
so-
that conclusion. We wouldn't have. Yeah.
yeah. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carmody is gathering her flock, and she starts talking about pride and hubris. And so I have our pride and hubris mentioned as possible sins also of this town. Sounds of the creatures in the mist on the way to the pharmacy. Sounds in the pharmacy. The spiders have been active. And then the soldier. It's all our fault. It's all our fault.
Yeah.
I have all this as under the bad guys close in. But again, we're not necessarily told what these sins are, but we're sort of given.
Yeah, I feel like the only admitting of any sins is the Arrowhead Project and the soldiers.
Yeah.
Right? Because the one guy's hang themselves here in a bit, and then this guy is saying, it's all our fault, and then he has this horrible death with
Oh my god.
many spiders inside of him. Yeah, those fucking spiders, man. Out of all the creatures on there, those guys are the worst.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
even the webbing is like, it burns you and
It's
stuff.
acid.
and-
Yeah, acid web. Yeah.
James is asleep by this point in the movie, and
Yeah.
Well, I just think that it's never explicit, but I think at this point Carmody is on the rise as far as
yeah.
being the one who knows.
Yeah,
what-
because the William Sadler's character, at one point he's, your tongue must be hung in the middle so it can waggle at both ends, and talk about how she's full of shit.
You're right.
And then here in a bit, when they get back from the pharmacy,
he's
part of her cult and expiation right after yelling with the rest of them.
He has seen enough. So all is lost. I have is a false defeat. Spiders, acid web. Carmody's still at work preaching, and then I think here she starts talking about an expiation, sacrifice.
Yeah.
Dan does not want to. Dan does not want to leave now, but he may want to reconsider this as the fervor rises. The two remaining...
David doesn't want to leave.
Did I write Dan?
Yeah.
Okay.
David doesn't want to leave because Ollie's the one that tells him, you may want to reconsider. Look at what we got going on over here. While you were sleeping, she got,
Right.
adding more to her flock.
Dan is one of the other guys. You didn't write down an incorrect name.
Just one of the other guys. All right.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. David's Thomas Jane, and then Dan's the Walking Dead guy, the older guy.
I got you. Questioning the soldier, what is really going on? The two remaining soldiers kill themselves, and then, of course, we learn more about the Arrowhead Project or whatever.
Right.
Okay, so I don't know if she says this, Carmody. What brought down the wrath of God? Maybe that's my question. Other dimensions, other worlds all around us, a window to the other side. The scientists, the other world came through to ours. Carmody is seeing this as judgment. The soldiers see it as them opening the other door, but Carmody sees all this as the wrath.
Yeah, because they sacrificed the soldier, the one that's left, right?
Yes.
At this point.
I have this as the dark night of the soul. The soldier sacrificed, feed him to the beast.
Mm-hmm.
The beast,
they just throw him outside.
the beast feeds.
Well, he gets stabbed and then thrown outside.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
the butcher guy stabs him.
Feed him. So this is what I'm talking about, King's Old Testament guy, because Carmody's right, and she has got the truth, but she turns into a, bloodthirsty maniac. But if this is the Old Testament wrath God you're dealing with, then she's still not wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's full of shit, man.
I hear you. In the King's world, though, this town is paying, right? Now, this is where it swung for me on this movie from hating it to hating it with respect. Okay?
That's a big swing.
It is. I still hate it, but I understand the choice, and I think it's the absolute right choice. The son, still in the Dark Night of Soul, the son says to David, David's son, promise you won't let the monsters get me. Not ever, no matter what, I promise.
Yep.
I think that is, the ending at that point is locked in as far as what is.
Because he's not going to let the monsters outside get him, and he's not going to let these monsters, this crazy-ass lady inside, and her followers get him either.
Yeah, so if the theme is it only matters if we're safe, the question is to what extent will you go
to keep them safe?
To keep them safe.
Yep.
And will you go as far as David? Because David was all in at that point on the theme, keeping my family safe, keeping us safe, me and mine,
Right.
And he would have killed himself if he had an extra bullet. I think it's almost judgment on him that there was not an extra bullet for him.
To me, everyone talks about the ending. It wouldn't have been the same if he'd had enough bullets. They're all dead.
Yes.
And then you see the army roll up and everything's safe. No. He had to see
the horror of...
Because don't let the monsters get me. Like, he became a fucking monster.
Yes.
Saving his kid.
The monsters didn't get his kid, but his kid died. And
his kid died because the monster still got him. It was just a different kind of monster, not the monster in the mirror and all that bullshit. You know what I mean? His dad went too far, obviously.
But he was... All that matters is we're safe, and that's all that mattered. And he went as far as he could to what he thought would ensure that.
Sure.
Which it turned, and so...
Yeah, there's even a big... They lose the gun. The gun's on the hood of the car.
Yeah.
And they're all in the car, and they all yell at him because David's trying to reach out and get back and get it.
Yeah.
And everybody's yelling at him, don't get it. Like, if he doesn't reach out and get that gun, then the option's not even there, right?
Yeah, it's happy ending, you know. Right.
At least the ambiguous ending, hopeful ending we got in the book, Because in the book, after they see the big, huge creature, they, and correct me if I miss anything, James, but what I remember is they see the big, huge creature, and so there's this whole idea of how far is this thing the whole world? Has the mist?
Oh yeah, they drive till they run out of gas.
Yeah, and that creature's way bigger than anything we've seen.
And it's still the mist. They never get out of the mist.
They never get out of the mist, and they just keep driving. There's, I think, a thing on the radio about a beacon about where they're trying to get there, but you don't know if they ever make it. And then
so they don't know how far this goes.
He was just writing his story down in case somebody found it. In the book.
In the book. So you don't know if they ever made it or not. But it definitely didn't. Have this. Point that this does about, no, we're going to wrap this up.
No sequel here.
That's
right. Well, and they don't have, like I said, they don't know how far the mist extends, so they think it's the whole world. There is no escape, and if I'm going to keep my family safe, then...
Oh, and it's not just the army, too. I guess an important thing on the truck or whatever that drives by with the army, it's the lady from the beginning.
Yes, with her kids.
Got out with her kids. So if he'd helped her, theoretically, the idea
he would have lived.
Would have lived.
Yes. Had he not? Yes. And this is
not been. I got my own kid to worry about, lady.
The sin.
Of worrying about yours is over.
Well, the other thing, if you notice, they're driving, say, west, or they'd be
whatever
driving west.
direction,
The army comes from behind them, so they've been running away as the army was catching up.
Yeah.
So had they just stayed in place,
Yeah, I didn't know. So
they'd have
theoretically, they
been-
saved the store too. You mean like
Yeah.
whoever was alive in there? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that
Yeah,
before, but you're right.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
it's like, everybody behind you's being saved. You keep running until you run out of gas. Now you killed everybody.
And that's what I'm saying
and-
though, because like,
And that makes it even worse.
yeah. So is the solution to stay in the store and deal with Psycho Lady, right? And like, just keep eating sacrifices until the army comes? Like, is that the solution? Because that's shit. Like,
Yeah, I
wanted
don't
to get out of
know
the store too.
What would she still demand sacrifices after the soldier? I don't know what.
Well,
And that was it, James. Are you the one that sent it with that article about the theory behind it about she was right because the last sacrifice she demands is Billy, and he's like, "Fucking try it." And that's when he gets out of there with his kid. But the mist clears after he kills Billy. You know what I mean? Like he kills one of y'all sent it on the thing. I thought
I
it was
didn't
you,
send it,
James,
but
but I read it because
no,
I didn't make this up. I swear it wasn't
I
anyhow.
didn't. No, that
It was on our group thing, but
it was.
yes, but yes. So
and
there's
that's what the article explains. Is saying she was right the whole time.
Yes,
What
yeah.
you're saying is because the sacrifice, because the mist clears up. Now, yeah, sure, the army's doing whatever they're doing, but the mist clears up right after he kills
Yep.
Billy.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but
Which
just
is
now.
fucked up.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
but-
but that.
Well, they kill Miss Carmody.
Correct.
Yeah, one of the
Ollie
guys
her.
shoots Miss Carmody. Yeah.
Ollie does.
and everybody cheers
Why didn't they just stay?
because her whole flock was still after him at that point. Like, because the one chick that was like she was like she was going to take up. I always felt like she was going to take up, even though she didn't have the history or the knowledge I guess that Carmody had. She was like really upset that you killed her, and like it was like mob mentality. They were
yeah.
gonna. I felt like they were not safe after they killed her.
I don't see this conversation you're talking about.
Really?
Anyway,
Maybe you read it. Or, yeah, I didn't send it.
Somebody sent it on her.
but no worries. But yeah, I guess I see that after they killed her, it was time to go.
Yeah.
For sure. They're going to take their chances with the monsters outside.
Yeah. All right. So the break into 3, they leave. It's dawn. They move to leave. Gathering the team. Those following Dan. Storming the castle, trying to get to his car. They're the SU. They wind up getting in a jeep or whatever. Hightower surprise. Carmody throws a wrench in the plan. It's not God's plan. They must be sacrificed. The boy is demanded. Yeah. So she is demanding. I guess David's son.
Yeah, I don't know if they mentioned it in the movie or maybe in the book, or maybe I just inferred it, that she knew they were leaving. Ollie had packed groceries under the register. They could grab them as they were leaving.
Yeah, yeah.
Carmody was on top of them, knew the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was like divine sight or because, in Stephen King books, people got The Shining,
Sure.
people got all kinds of stuff. I didn't know if she noticed, but either way, she tried to stop them.
Yeah.
And that's when things went sideways.
Yeah. Executing the new plan. Carmody is killed by Ollie. Yeah. They run to the car. Ollie is taken. So in the process, Ollie is taken. Another is taken. A third and fourth are lost. Dan and 4 others make the car and retrieve the gun. They drive away. Those in the store watch them go. Getting back home, Dan finds his wife in the webs. The front window broken has let them in. David at that point is shattered himself, broken down. Somebody says, maybe we'll get clear of the mist,
I think in the book, it shows it in the movie as well, but she was going to hang out and garden. The wife was going to stay at the house and garden.
Yeah.
And as he turns around to look at her, the mist was coming across the lake behind her. So they find her in the garden all webbed up in the movie. I don't think she ever knew what hit her, honestly. That's what I inferred.
Sure,
again.
yeah.
But in the I found it. Sherry had sent it an article about the ending of the Mist.
Okay.
And I read that one. So
All right.
Maybe I was trying to forget.
Back
I don't remember who it was, but
late July.
yeah, no, it was a while ago. I just so everyone knows,
It was quite.
I'm crazy, but not that crazy.
Right.
Yeah, but in the book, as far as regards to the wife, I don't think he goes back to the
Right. No, they don't go back.
Yeah,
In
you
the
don't-
book?
Yeah, you don't know what happens to the wife, and
Well,
he
they do. He says basically the storm had knocked over trees across their driveway, and because of the mist, they couldn't see. He tells the son, "Hey, we're going to go back, but we can't go down that way." So they don't go to the house, but they go by the house.
Okay.
In the book,
Interesting.
Yeah, in the movie, he sees all his loss, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's in the garden wrapped up, and
yeah.
so
And it's interesting in the book he sleeps with Amanda or whatever in the store. like he actually, I guess cheats on his wife with the other chick.
Yeah, so again, more sin, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and there were.
and they admitted that obviously in the movie, which I thought was interesting.
I don't know if it was implied that was an ongoing relationship.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's been too long since I've read it.
But
I thought
again,
that was interesting.
taking it back to the sin and all that, I'm sure every character in that building.
Yeah, it has some
something.
dark, because this is clearly being portrayed as a judgment and a wrath. The bill has come due.
And that's a Stephen King
Yeah,
thing. World building is very good.
yeah. He has these crazy characters, and like I said, he likes the Old Testament wrath guy. The biggest bad. So maybe we'll get clear of the mist. Maybe the biggest bad crosses the road yet. Is this the new reality? They think this is the whole world.
Yep.
He remembers his promise. Don't let the monsters get me, no matter what. The gas runs out, and they're still in the mist. We gave it a good shot. The old guy in the back seat, I think, says that or whatever. They hear the monsters and an impossible choice. And so, this is why I said the thematic question: if safe is all that matters, what length will you go to keep your people safe? And unfortunately, he goes as far as he can, and then, this ending.
And it's interesting. Like I don't remember. Like you hear some monster noises when they're in the car, when they're having this, I guess this discussion. A lot of it's their looks and stuff about, should we commit suicide, basically.
Yeah.
And then when he gets out, because he's like, all right, I'm all out of bullets, and I love how he dry fires and all that stuff, even though he knows it's empty.
Yeah, he was. I thought it was very well.
Right.
Knowing it's empty, but he wants
to die so bad. So then he gets out, and he's like, oh, come on.
come
And
on.
you hear the noises. Those noises are the flamethrowers.
Yeah.
From the fucking army that's coming to save them. So I wonder, could they hear those in the car too? Like they're
they were not assuming that there was any rescue.
Yeah.
And then the trucks roll by, and the woman with her kids is staring down, and
he had waited 5 fucking minutes.
So, but I understand that ending, and I think it's the appropriate one based on the question that is raised.
Right.
What length will you go to? To keep your people safe, will you, and in this impossible situation, right?
Right. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I can't. Obviously, I picked this movie, and I love this movie. I really do. And like y'all talked about, y'all don't like it. And to be honest, that's one of the reasons I picked it, is because y'all said y'all didn't like it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted not to put you through hell, but to have. I guess I've been a little worried about if we all pick movies that we love and we just go around and go, yep, it's a great movie. Yep,
Sure.
it's a great movie. It maybe makes for a more interesting podcast if we have disagreements about stuff.
Well, my mind was changed.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, I even though the ending's a shot in the nuts and it's terrible, it's still like, I guess I can watch it knowing that's coming. But I can't say that I had analyzed it the way that you did this time and realized, that's what they deserve and the sin. I hadn't put all that thought into it.
Well, even beyond what they deserve,
and I'm okay with it,
But any other ending would have been untrue to the question they ask,
right?
And felt like a cushion almost. Okay, well, what length will you go to keep your people safe? Oh, you'll drive out of town. Well, okay, well, who wouldn't do that?
Sure.
But would you put 4 bullets in people sitting right next to you?
Yeah, your kid first.
Your kid first, right? I mean.
Well, you don't want the kid to see all that,
right? And the kid asked him, "Don't let them get me, no matter what." And in David's mind, he's doing his kid a favor by not letting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but even the betrayal on the kid's face when he sees dad's holding the gun on me like that, it's not, doesn't have to last long because he shoots him, but I don't know. It's to me that I don't know. One of the interesting aspects is that he yes, in his mind he's holding, keeping the promise, but he's like 100% like so dedicated to that he's overlooking the fact that you're becoming a monster. Only monsters kill their own fucking kids, man.
Yes, but at that point,
that's a lesser evil, and everything else that's going on.
It is. So McKee and some others will say that that in a scene you have choices: either 2 irreconcilable goods or or the lesser of 2 evils.
Yeah.
If you give a character a choice between something really good and something really bad, well,
they're gonna choose good every time.
They're gonna choose good every time. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
So 2 irreconcilable goods. It'll be good for me but bad for you, or I can do something that's good for you and bad for me. Or I got 2 shit choices here. Let my kid be eaten alive by a monster after he said, "Please don't let them get me,"
or I shoot him.
And so I think that is. At that point, I respect the story much more than if they had fudged it with letting them off, or you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, even though it
sucks. Even though it sucks. I think that is absolutely the correct choice. You know, yeah, you're going to choose the perfect choice. $1 million, or you have to work in the salt mine. Oh, well, you know,
Jeez.
you know, yeah. So I think at that point the writing is spot on, and any other ending would have been a cheat, I feel.
Yeah.
So at that point, I took on new respect for this movie, even though
And thankfully, we've never been put in that situation.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that was a Frank Darabont thing. Again, the book doesn't end that way. It ends open-ended.
Yeah.
And King signed off that he liked it.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if King, because it had to have. I know he doesn't outline necessarily, but he had to have had various thoughts about this ending.
Sure.
And in writing the book,
Yeah,
and made a choice to do it this way. Well, I'll just leave
maybe he held back or something. Yeah, maybe he had some sort of, something like that or something, or some, other shit ending, monster gets them all or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he held back. It's interesting. I like, because, and he, to me, is not a writer that typically holds back. Like if you read Pet Sematary, which was done after this, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it was 1984. He supposedly wrote that, and then looked at it and went, "This, I got a fucking father digging up a dead kid. This is fucking terrible." As far as just how rough it is, and how he put it in a drawer. It's like, I can't publish that, and I did, and that's one of the ones out of the stories that I've read that's fucked with me the most.
Sure.
Is like, I remember when I'm reading it, and he goes to, the father's gonna dig up this dead kid. I'm like, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dig this kid up and see what happens. You know what I mean? You're on board with him, even though this is not gonna go well.
Yeah,
that and the cat. We had a cat that we didn't get along with, and that cat would jump up on me in the middle of the night when I'm reading this book, and damn cat, and Lath was young, so that one.
I loved Pet Cemetery. I didn't see what the whole big deal was about. I just blew right through
story,
it.
But that one messed with me. That and this one, I think, why I like it. One of the reasons I like it so much is just it just messed with me, and to your point, put me in that situation. What would I do if I was in a store, and it had to have been like soon after I went to City Market in Burleson, and the whole front.
Yeah, it looks almost exactly like
glass.
Yeah,
and I think that from there, I was like, "Holy shit, this could be City Market. I could have the mist right now."
That's where King said he got that idea from being in a supermarket and seeing all the glass in the front.
Yeah, sure. Buy some milk one day and went, "Huh."
Yeah. Well, and those writing gurus will say you don't want to tell the story about an average day of a character. You want to tell the story about the worst day in that character's life,
or the most important,
or the most important, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, in some sense, if you're writing a story like this and you say, nothing matters except that we're safe, and you don't carry that to an extreme end, you're not doing your job. You're not going far enough, and you're not showing enough courage, maybe, to really answer your own question in the most extreme way. Because if you don't put them in extreme circumstances and they have an easier out, because one of the other tenets is the character will, like a human being, will always take the path of least resistance.
Sure.
So John McClane in Die Hard doesn't immediately start blasting. He runs up and he pulls the fire alarm and he waits.
Right.
He's going to do the simplest thing he can to solve the problem.
Yeah,
and a character in real life will do that.
Yeah.
Why would I work 10 times harder if I can solve it this way? So if you allow the character to solve it that way, you're cheating.
Yeah.
Right? So...
Yeah, it's got to ring true to reality.
Yeah, to reality, and so the writer doesn't let John McClane pull the fire alarm and end the movie. And the writer of Stephen King or the screenwriter wouldn't allow David to do this and solve the problem. Anyway.
Yeah, you can't just kill Miss Carmody and then drive and make it out to your Jeep and then drive away and they get clear of the mist. Yeah, that's
now in the book there's some indication that it was ambiguous, right? That they
they definitely weren't clear of it though.
Right.
No, he was writing it down because he wasn't sure that he was going to make it.
Right.
He just wanted the story to be out there in case he couldn't tell it.
I think ambiguous is the next best option.
Yeah.
If you're, unless you're just wanting to see them, which if you just had them eaten, I think that's almost okay. That's that's anticlimactic almost in my opinion.
Yeah.
No, I wanted them all to
get out,
make it to safety.
Yeah.
You're right. The alternative would be for them to have learned their lesson and be given another chance, which is an upending.
Yeah.
I sort of have a rule like if you go to the movies and you watch a movie and you feel worse when you come out than you went in, the writer hasn't done you any favors because
which is how you felt originally.
Yes, a writer's job. If I go to the movies, I want to escape for a couple hours and I want to feel better when I came out. You don't with this movie.
Yeah.
But
you've always been big on comeuppance. Like if somebody does something terrible, they
sure, absolutely
kill John Wick's dog. You better get 1,000 bullets in
right.
It,
And I think had we known more about the town's sin, we might have felt. But I think they held back because they didn't want us to feel like they got what they deserved. They wanted us to be
Right.
shocked.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah. If you
maybe there's
reveal
some
their
sin, but this is still pretty.
You gotta like David. Yeah, if you reveal he's got this dark secret and he's an asshole or whatever, or pedophile or whatever the stupid
Sure.
thing is,
Then, yeah.
also now you don't care for him and
Right.
you want him to get eaten by a monster. Right? It doesn't work.
Yeah. Now we can like David because we live next door to our neighbors, but we don't know
Anything about him?
any dark shit that they got in their basement, right? I mean, but we see them on a daily basis. And what they always say about serial killers and mass murderers living
had
next
no
door.
idea.
Oh, he was a quiet guy, always said hi, okay, well. So we may like David, but there's something was going on with this town that Carmody knew and that King is trying to say, monster in the house, and this is wrath and judgment.
You don't think it's just caring about yours more than over the price of other people,
Well,
Like,
I think
got my
that-
own kids to worry about.
I think that is part of it, yeah. That this town, if that's how they operate, then they've done some things.
yeah, okay, fair
to-
enough.
to only take care of themselves when they
It's
could have-
always me and mine first.
This is not this is not the first time that he would have said no to a lady wanting help with her to get or the town or whatever.
Well, obviously, yeah, I guess that kind of goes back to the first beef with the neighbor. There was bad blood all through there.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of looking through that, maybe he was the local, this guy's the outsider. We're going to push him around because he's an outsider. And
Yeah, maybe they
cause
didn't
trouble.
welcome him in. Maybe
Yeah.
there's some. Yeah, what was the real beef between these two? I'm not sure. We find out, but I think that because Carmody is vindicated with the way the monsters treat her and this kind of thing at that point, and I think
because the creatures don't ever get her.
Right.
The other guys do.
yes,
Yeah,
they
always shoot
kill her. Yeah. Now does she get a little crazy with the sacrifice? Yeah, but in this world, with this type of judgment and this type of God that she's dealing with, if that's the God of this world,
Yeah, right. And the argument we
the
made, like we
sacrifice
talked
is
about,
demanded. I
and
mean,
it clears up after they
Yeah,
kill Billy.
yeah, which is still a horrific world.
So Carmody was right.
Yes.
Sacrifice the boy.
fuck that bitch. I mean, I guess
Yes.
Everything's good.
Now, in our world, is that something we'd want to do? No, but in this story world, this horror story world, that is, because she is vindicated when she prays and that monster doesn't get her. I'm like, okay, this is the world that has been created, and these are the rules of that
She
world.
just didn't bathe or something, man, and that bug could smell it. And
Sure. Yeah. Well,
no, you're right.
It was her lotion.
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
She had on off deep.
Right. Signature smell, man.
Yeah. So initially, I guess pass, consider, recommend. Initially, I would have passed on this because of the ending and how and the gut punch that it is. But if you look at it closely and if you have any sense of the writing at all and what is required in a good story when you set things up a certain way, then I think it should almost be held up as an example of good writing in the sense of honest, real, hard consequences and not pulling back. Because the tendency is to pull back and not, and I think maybe King had that sense, to pull back from the real horror and the real choice that has to be made, or showing the real choice based on the horrific world you've set up. And I think they made the right choice in that sense.
Right.
And I would recommend it as a study of writing, and I would recommend it as a truly horrific movie,
Yeah.
So it's a recommend for me,
Ooh.
which is a change from how I initially thought. So a study, like, we say in the beginning, a study at the mechanical level can bring some revelations. This time it really, really did
Right.
for me,
I would give it a consider. Again, restating it, not my favorite one of the Stephen King, Frank Darabont bring togethers, movie story thing. Yeah, just still not my favorite.
It is.
And
it's an acid bath. I mean,
I get everything that you've said really clarifies a lot of things. I watched it the right way. I just don't like it.
don't like it. No, I don't like it.
Yeah, I watched it and I gave it a solid 5 or 6 watches this past one, and I tried to like it every single time and look for something that I liked.
Yeah.
No,
No.
it's just not doing it for me.
Yeah.
But consider, I would rather watch Shawshank or Green Mile.
Sure.
Those, if you want the gut punch.
Yeah.
Those are different gut punches, but
Sure.
great movies.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said before, Shawshank and Green Mile are better movies, but they're different. And I guess, like we talked about, like we wanted to pick a horror movie.
Mhm.
So I guess to me, like comparing it to those two wasn't, an option. Yeah, and I guess, I like this movie. There's a lot of things I like about it. Yeah, and it's weird because I can fire it up knowing the horrible gut punch that's coming, and I guess I'm I'm okay with it. Not that I like the ending. Obviously, it sucks. But I don't know why. But yeah, I guess I'll recommend it to anyone who, one, for not a lot of movies have the balls to have that kind of ending, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of stuff is, an up ending. And yeah, I just think it's a good horror movie with the jump scares and the creatures, and just I think it's one of those movies that makes you think about, I think when you watch this movie and then go to the supermarket, you're probably gonna think about it,
Yes, well,
Jaws going back in the water, I think.
Well, talking about, as you're talking, I thought of Jaws. Okay, so Jaws, Monster in the House, the sin of greed and money over the Labor Day weekend, over the safety of the people. But they do that, and there is a scene where the mayor and who represents the town and represents that greed has a real repentance, right?
Yeah.
Like so there is redemption for that town and redemption from their sin. But in King's world, there is no redemption. You're going to pay.
Yeah.
So I think this could have had an upending had the sin been dealt with like they did in Jaws with the mayor with his hat in his hand coming to Brody,
Right.
Now he is totally on board with the wrong that he did and has repented from it. There is none of that, and we don't ever get that beat in this movie because I don't think they ever come to that conclusion or want to or whatever. And so their sin remains unrequited, and so they get what they get. And this is King in his world, Yeah.
Okay, this may surprise y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember wanting to watch this when we watched it the first time because anything with fog, mist, whatever is so scary to me. Like, I enjoy the movie The Fog. Okay.
You have the unknown because you can't see what's out there.
Yes, but I don't like driving in the fog or being in a fog because it's scary. I mean, so that is a good scary movie. If you want to watch if you want to be scared, okay, yes, watch it. But I would recommend turning it off when they run out of gas.
Yeah.
That's where I would end it. Now, and I don't recommend it to anyone who is going through any issues or has, any depression going on, because I'm telling you right now, that ending is really messed up. It's terrible. I listened to a podcast called Real Life Ghost Stories, and she will do a horror movie review at the beginning. And of course, she doesn't go in as much detail, but this lady was sobbing. I mean, she was sobbing on the phone, asking some friend of hers, why did they end it that way? Mm-hmm. And it is a very hard ending. But if you want to see something scary, I enjoyed the beginning of it.
Yeah, sure. So consider it or whatever?
I would consider it, yeah.
That's how my wife feels. She likes the movie up to the end, The
end of it is so disturbing because I thought, okay, I'm watching it a second time. I know what's coming. I know I can handle it. But so help me, when it gets to it, it is so hard to watch.
Well, it's
beyond hard to watch.
If I remember correctly, there's in one of the later Dark Tower books, just before all the main characters, and again, a spoiler alert, in the Dark Tower series, they all get killed, right? And it becomes the gunslinger going up the tower by himself. Just before, so there's a scene before that where all the friends, all the band in the Dark Tower are sort of around a campfire, and they're all together, and they're alive and healthy and happy. And Stephen King has an editorial note, like he breaks the wall, I think.
Yep.
And he says, "Okay, dear reader,
stop here.
Stop here
if you want this.
Because and then like in his commentary or the notes in the back or something, he says that the readers are going to scream at me and blah blah blah. So he actually says, "Stop here."
Yeah.
And I wish I had.
Yeah. So I couldn't stop when I read that.
No, of course I didn't either.
Stop. You got to keep going.
Right.
But yeah, but there's even because there's other worlds and stuff. There's even one of the versions where some of the characters are together and they're happy.
Yeah, sure.
Two that fall in love, and there's different things. But to me, and you and I've talked about this before, but it's not the miss shit ending to me. The Dark Towers, because it reveals the whole thing's again, spoiler alert.
He's done this a bunch of times.
Yeah, it's a loop.
Yeah.
And to me, it ends on hope, because this time he's going to get it right. If he's done it 1,000 times, he's going to get it right this time. Which, to your point, about tell the story about the most important day.
Yeah.
And I remember that's exactly what you said before when I made that point.
Yeah.
Well, he's gonna get it right the next time, and you said, "Fuck that! Tell me the story when he gets it
Well,
right."
then that should be the story.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
let me know he's done this 100. Like in the,
You can let me know he did it 100 times, but this still be the right one.
yes,
Yeah, that
the
would've been
Matrix,
better.
right? You find out that Neo's done this a bunch of times, right?
But yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know.
uh,
As opposed to ending and he never, the last time he tries it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I do want to read them again. I haven't, so I'm curious to see
well,
once
that's
I read them again how I feel.
and that's the out for the Dark Tower movie with McConaughey, right? Because I wanted them to tell the story that I read in the books. I wanted to see the visualization of that, and it's a different story. I mean, it's different than the books. It's not like the books.
Yeah.
So I was disappointed. But then they say, well, this happened so many times. This is just a telling of one of those times, and it's not like the book because it's a different time that he did it, and that's their out, and I understand that. But you tell me Dark Tower, I'm thinking the books,
Right.
not some other time that isn't one of the books. Yeah, okay, it happened 1,000 times. So, but I only have this one time, and now you're.
One time Stephen King was writing The Dark Tower and he farted. That was better than that shit movie they gave us.
Yeah, that was terrible, and that's why that's not a franchise. That should have been a franchise. The
or a
Drawing of the
TV
Three and all
show or
Wolves of the Call, all of that should have been filmed.
Yeah, or
I should
TV
have a box.
show.
I have a box set of Harry Potter. I don't want that. I want the box set of freaking Dark Tower. with all those well done.
Which is interesting that you still want that and want to see that, even though the book, the way it ended or whatever.
Yeah, well, I'd want anyway. Yeah, any movie that makes you feel worse when you come out, I think is a disservice. Although the choice was the right one, but anyway.
Which I think happens in a lot of horror movies too, right? You feel, I guess, worse coming out, right? A lot of, if anything, more than like horror movies probably have more of the shit endings than other.
Yeah,
not very many rom-coms you're gonna come out feeling that way. Even action movies, it's gonna be the guy, the hero's gonna get the bad guy.
And in horror movies, typically you're not, the characters you're not meant to align with or fall in love with, right?
Yeah, right.
So you don't care. Their
When they get
body,
hacked to pieces or whatever.
yeah,
it's okay.
and you're there for the thrills and the laughs and the jump scares. But if you make me care about, I don't know. But in this movie, I think the right choice was made, even though I don't like these kind of endings.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh my god! No, him screaming at the end. That's what.
I think Jane sold that. I think I think that was like I could feel his total his mind is splintered. He will never. He eventually is going to kill himself.
Yeah.
At some point, there's no. I don't know how you recover from that.
Just run over to the army guys, grab the flamethrower.
Yeah,
run in front of the flamethrower.
Unless he just becomes so, out of it that he can't even have the capability of thought to kill himself.
Or he's the half man in the mist tube.
Sure. Yes.
The Mist 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
This time he goes to the West Coast explosions.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah. I don't feel any different about this movie.
No, it's
Well, like I said, the moral of the story to me is wait 5 minutes before you do anything, drastic.
yeah.
Nice. Good advice.
5 minutes. Because I was so angry at the end, I was screaming 5 minutes.
Yeah, but they had no conception of that.
I understand. I understand.
Yeah. Anyway.
Good pick, Chris.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Well, no, it was a revelation as far as the right. All right.
All right.
We're out.
We're out.
People scared shitless trying to handle fire.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to talk about the end of it.
My feelings on it have not changed.
Something in the mist. Something in the mist.
Expiation. Still think it's cheesy, James?
Yeah. That's not the only part in the movie that rubs me the
Right.
wrong way. We'll get to it.
It bugs you, but I like it.
We're in deep shit here.
I actually enjoyed everything up to the ending.
Right. That's important, though. I mean, you're going to want a beer after that shit.
Oh, yeah.
It appears we may have a problem of some magnitude here.
Like I said, the moral of the story to me is wait 5 minutes before you do anything, drastic.